Social Work Bubble podcast. I'm your host, Laura Swanson, LCSW, coming to you not live, from Central New York. Hi, everyone. I'm recording this podcast the day of because I'm just behind. I'm behind, as I've said in the last episode, the Social Work Neighborhood Mentoring Program for social workers and social work students is launching this Monday, October 14th. And we have a million things to do beforehand. So there's a lot going on, but I wanted to make sure I did not skip this week because, let's be real, September, not a great month for the podcast. I think there was one episode in September, maybe. Oh boy, so we're back. We're better than ever. And today I thought there are a couple articles that I was reading in... Okay, there's a big semi out front. I do apologize if you heard that crazy noise. Anyways, I've been reading a few articles from mysocialworknews.com, which, by the way, great site, great magazine. I have been really enjoying reading the articles on there. But I read a couple of them and I have some thoughts. And I just felt like they were good topics to get into. So this first one, I'll link the articles below so you can also give it a read yourself. This first one is an opinion piece called Social Workers Need to Be More Outspoken. This is by Matt B., a recovery social worker. The second one is an anonymous piece from Social Work Confessions, basically titled, "I've lost the ability to switch off. I'm always thinking about my clients." So I think I'm really reading these as like a jumping off point for some things that I want to talk about. So we'll probably talk about, like, with the second one, some burnout prevention, some things that I noticed in the article that this person wrote. And then the first one, I just loved what this person was saying. So let's dive in. But before we do, don't forget to like, share, follow, do all of that stuff. Share this podcast with a social work friend. Listen to the other episodes. Do your thing. So, let's hop into it. This article, Social Workers Need to Be More Outspoken, from mysocialworknews.com, written by Matt B. There was a piece to this. Basically, at its core is, I'm going to read 2 or 3 paragraphs from this. They're not big paragraphs, don't worry. Because it's really, I feel like he hit the nail on the head. So basically, this is one piece to the article. He says, "Today, this is a major problem in social work. We're too sanitized, too polished. Years ago, there was a drive to professionalize social work. This happened in the early 90s, about the same time as a popular TV show called What Not to Wear. Much the same thing happened in social work. We smartened up, we went corporate, we dressed like managers and behaved like them too. We started utilizing management speak and caring about our public image. Most of all, we wanted to be taken seriously in the same way as doctors, lawyers, and accountants. We even got ourselves a regulatory body so that anyone caught still wearing sandals could be removed from social work like an unsightly weed. On the plus side, this improved our practice, but it also pushed more outspoken, outlandish people to the fringes. People with big opinions no longer got the big jobs because they no longer fitted our squeaky new image. Those went to people who knew how to play the corporate game." I am obsessed with this article. I simply cannot say it enough. The whole point of this is this person in the very beginning was talking about at the Social Work News, there was an article written by Vince Part, that apparently was a little outlandish, a little crazy. And he was basically saying, like, it was fine. He said this statement, he said this thing, this bold statement. Let me actually go to the article. Is social work England in breach of its own standards? Okay, so a spicy article about social work England. Very exciting. And I think that's a very real thing, especially with a lot of professionals, social workers and therapists being on social media. I think there can be a big fear about being outspoken. On the flip side, there are some people that are maybe speaking a little too much and a little too freely. Uh, they need to check themselves that they're still a professional. But this is the thing, is like, I used to be a person that was very, I'll paint you a picture. Let me paint you a picture. Picture this. Grad school Laura, newly radicalized. I was just like, not even grasping. I was like clawing, holding on to cognitive behavior therapy, theories, approaches, professionalism, like all of these things, all of these rules, to me provided like a lot of comfort, a lot of things to just like follow, while still like there was no judgment towards other people, but I felt those things like had a purpose, like professionalism and the standards to that. I was like, I think a big part of it for me was this idea of like, I want to be taken seriously. Like, social work is notoriously overlooked. We aren't taken seriously. We aren't seen as like highly intelligent and skilled people. And I think we have a lot to bring to the table. And so there was a big part of me that was like for this idea of professionalism. But as I've grown the last few years, I've released a lot of my rigidity, and maybe I've become a little woo-woo for people, but professionalism always rooted in racism and another form of oppression. Let's be so real. Professionalism is ableist. It is all of the things. So let's not be foolish there. Let's point that out. But I still saw, like, as this person was saying, there's a benefit to professionalism in that it can help us in this field be taken more seriously, be more seen, to have these like certain standards, especially ethical standards, practice standards, a certain set of like requirements. I think that certainly allows like a seriousness to happen. But on the flip side, as Matt B has pointed out, it kind of created this thing where like social work can be this, and is this really like boots on the ground, advocacy, community, people-oriented, raw profession. And it's so beautiful because of that, because we just see the deep beauty and humanity and just like meeting people where they are regardless. And I think this is the piece where it's like that stuff really gets pushed to the side. We became corporate. We became corporate. Like, we dressed like managers and behaved like them too. Management speak, that's been a big thing, especially in the nonprofit sector. Just because something is called a nonprofit does not mean that they actually freaking care about anything. And caring about public image, which, to be so honest, like, it was really public image that I was so gung-ho about professionalism for. It's like, I want to be taken seriously by other people. So basically the point of this article is saying, okay, social work is doing a little too much in terms of taking themselves too seriously, like doing too much with professionalism. And look, we can in fact still be outspoken, and we need to be, and we should be. This social work is messy. This is a job where, as I said earlier, we are meeting people in just like the raw and real pieces of their life, that are broken and messy and all over the place. And it's just, it's a crazy job. Like, it's just first and foremost, like, it's a crazy job, not in the sense it's like, not to use the word crazy nonchalantly, but like, it's like beautiful and wild and just surreal. I think surreal is maybe more the word I'm looking for. But it's through that like, I feel like so many people have just like lost the plot. Like, what are we doing here? We have become far too, what's the word? Gosh, I'm not great with my words today, folks. Almost like far too censored in some ways. If there's a concern with saying something, I see this a lot where, I see a lot of social workers that I love, like we post about, like, social work is in fact political. It is political, and we have to speak about politics. We have to talk about the oppression that happens and how social work is also a part of that oppressive system, and we are our own oppressive entity in its own way. And I constantly see social workers push back on that, saying, we're not supposed to be biased, and it's not political, blah, there's space for everyone. And it's like, no. First of all, like, no, what you're saying is wrong. Because if you know anything about social work, you know that it is in fact political, because every single thing that you do is political. Just existing is a point of, like, political argument. And so basically at the core of what this person is saying is, he kind of ends this article on, maybe this is why Vince's article last week, questioning Social Work England's role as our regulator, felt so daring. It was unusual. We're used to social workers criticizing the government, but not our own regulator. It's not the done thing. But reading the comments it generated, it seems that a lot of people have been thinking the same thing for years. We were just waiting for someone else to say it first. This also brings to mind, this is talking about Social Work England, the current happenings with the NSAW in the United States, the National Association of Social Workers. There's some drama going on with the CEO. I was reading up on this. I'm going to link someone on Instagram that I've been getting all the tea from. And it's just some crazy stuff. But at its core, just like some highly unethical allegations towards the CEO of the NSAW. Like bribery, weird stuff with the Profura insurance company. I might do a podcast episode about it, if I can, like, get all the facts together in one place. But this is the same thing. It's like, I also used to be the person where, like, I was an NSAW member. I was on a committee for the NSAW NYC board. Like, I was so just like, yes, like this organization is awesome and social work is awesome and blah, 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 when I wasn't really, and now I'm like, not to say anti-NSAW, but geez, this whole thing needs to be taken apart and, like, started from scratch, because, like, all the stuff that's coming out now is, yikes, it's bad. And I mean, what I've been talking about before too recently is, like, what is the NSAW even doing? Like, what are they even doing for social workers? They do some advocacy stuff, but, like, memberships cost an insane amount of money. I think when the last time I had a membership, I was paying $236 annually. I'm like, I'm not nearly getting enough for this, because you still had to pay a hefty amount for continuing education credits. Like, I'm just like, what are you doing for me? What are you doing for me? Because if it's about networking, I could network for free. Like, I don't need the NSAW to network. If this is about job postings, I can do that for free. You know what I mean? Like, it's where I'm just like, y'all really, I think, just, like, lost the purpose, and you forgot that you are supposed to be supporting social workers, and you're not doing crap for us, to be so honest. But I think this is what I've been seeing more and more recently too, and I think this is also the power of social media. People feeling like they can, in some ways, like, speak more freely on social media, even though there are still consequences. Let's not be foolish. But I've seen a lot more social workers, especially in recent years, really be outspoken about the NSAW, and it's comforting. It's now comforting because I get it now, and at this point in my career where I'm like, yeah, I mean, what are we doing? They, like, take our money and don't do anything for us, and I mean, yeah, we have our code of ethics, fine, but it's like, what's happening? What is happening? So, at the core of this, what I want you to take away from this particular article is, use your voice. It is important as social workers to question authority, question governmental bodies, question just authoritative bodies in social work, like the NSAW, like the Council on Social Work Education, like the Association of Social Work Boards. Question those organizations. ASWB had a massive thing about how the ASWB exam is freaking racist, and all of these, like, this, it is so, so important, and this is why we must act as a collective and come together to use our voice, because, as some people say, they can't fire all of us. They really can't. Like, we're always in desperate need of social workers. Like, it is so important we take collective action to call out these bodies that are regulating social work and yet can't seem to do anything for social work themselves. So that's that spiel. The article is linked below if you want to give it a read. The next one is more of like a response to this person's, this was an anonymous social work confession article. And they've basically said, like, I've lost the ability to switch off. I'm always thinking about my clients. So they basically say, you know, I should be winding down, but I'm replaying the day, like client meetings and tough conversations, and I've lost the ability to switch off. I can't stop thinking about my clients. It's a weight I carry with me even when I'm home. I used to be better at setting boundaries, but the cases have gotten harder and the need has grown deeper. The mental separation has all but disappeared. I check my phone at all hours, even when I'm supposed to be relaxing with my family. I sit down for dinner and my mind is miles away. My family feels it too. My life partner will ask how my day was, and I can see their face falls when I give them the same response. It was tough. And my kids, they sense it too. I try to play with them, but then I catch myself zoning out. It's just not it's not just the emotional toll either. It's the little things. I forget to do simple tasks at home. My personal life is suffering, but I don't know how to stop. Social work isn't just a job, it's a calling, and when you're in it, you're in it. You care deeply about the people you're helping. You see their pain, their struggles, and you want to fix it. You want to be there for them even when you're off the clock. But this constant emotional weight, it's unsustainable. I'm running on empty, and I know I don't find a way to switch off. I'm going to hit a wall. I've tried the typical advice about like self-care, setting boundaries, turning my phone off, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, we're taught to be empathetic, to care deeply for others, but we're not always taught how to care for ourselves. I'm starting to realize that I can't pour from an empty cup. And Laura's voice right here, you shouldn't fill your cup just to pour it out for other people either. If I'm going to keep helping my clients, I need to figure out how to help myself first. And you just should be helping yourself regardless of your feeling of obligation to help other people. I want to say this with like all the love and compassion in the world, because I've been in this situation. To me, it's giving compassion fatigue, at its core. It's just like dripping of compassion fatigue. There is some part of this, and I don't know if this is true for this person, because this person, I do not know them. They are not anonymous. It feels like there's some saviorism in this, and there's some level of like, well, I have to help these people. I have to be the one to like fix this for them and do this for them. Like, I have to do it all. And I don't think the thought process there is like bad in a sense. It's like coming from a malicious place, but it's bad when it comes from a place of saviorism, when it comes from this place of like, I am the thing that will make all the difference. You know, I don't know if I'm describing that particularly well, but I used to be that person, you know, when I worked in community health, and that was something I really had to do some deep reflective work on and release, is that sense of like saviorism, where yes, we are empathetic people. You can be empathetic, you can be deeply empathetic, and you can be a highly sensitive person, as we've talked about in the podcast before, and still not have this air of saviorism about your work. I also think here, I mean, as they're saying, like, the cases are getting harder. The need has grown deeper. The mental separation has all but disappeared. Obviously, compassion fatigue is like a stone throw away from burnout. And I mean, for many people, just wanting to leave the job altogether. I think what I'm hearing from this person too is just like overly identifying as a social worker. And I made an Instagram post very recently, so it's fitting that I'm talking about this. Let me pull it up real quick. I made an Instagram post recently that said, being a social worker is one part of yourself. Make sure you have other parts actively in your life to keep you present, fulfilled, and thriving. And I in the caption I said, it took me a long time to release the guilt of not being on all the time. I had a lot of should thinking. I should be reading more, researching, practicing an intervention, getting more resources, more. Should. At the point of burnout did I realize that social work couldn't and shouldn't be my whole being. And it sounds like this is where this person is at, where maybe they're not even ready to like really grapple with that yet. Is like social worker should not be your whole thing. It should not be. It's not healthy. I think that's what feeds into like any kind of savior complex, is when you feel like this is your entire identity, and it will eat away at you. Because social work and the things that we do, it is beautiful and it is helpful and it is impactful. And that is why I love this job and I love social work. But for anything to be your whole identity is simply not healthy. There's no balance there. There's no balance there. And I get like this is way easier said than done, especially depending on the organization that you're working for. If they're just piling on the cases, and depending on the population you're working for, it's a lot easier for me to have like to release the day after my day of work as a therapist than it was when I was a case manager intern working with children and their families that survived child sexual abuse and trafficking. That was heavy stuff. I cried a lot during that internship because we are deeply empathetic. We feel deeply for the people that we work with. I feel deeply for my clients now, but I've also grown in this work to release the things that are not my responsibility. I've come to a place where I've really worked through the Saviorism that initially brought me into the field and I've since left behind and will always check myself on. And also just realizing, I love social work. If I want to keep loving social work, it cannot be my whole thing. And I say this as someone that has a lot going on in social work right now. I have my own private practice. Me and my friend Emma Yeager, we're launching the Social Work Neighborhood, which we're also going to be filing as a nonprofit organization. I have the Social Work Bubble podcast. Like, I love social work. I'm here for social workers. I'm here for the work that we do. I'm here for the communities that we support. But by George, and it's one of those things that like, it's a tough lesson to learn, because I think a lot of people, including myself, will not learn it until they burn out. And you have to just like look yourself in the mirror and be like, this simply isn't working. And I had to swallow my pride too. I had to realize like, oh, you mean I'm not a superhuman? That's a crazy concept. Oh, you mean I'm not a superhero? You mean I can't save people, and nor should I want to be a savior for these people, because that's a problematic power dynamic to have in this work? Like, these are some harder things to sift through and reflect on. And I do think part of what helped me is just that internal work, which something I do mindfulness coaching as part of my private practice as well. And so much of that has been through just like my own journey in mindfulness and reflection and kind of self-discovery, where it has been through just these moments of stillness and of just sitting with an idea. Like over time, repeatedly, having many opportunities to just carve out some space for myself just to sit with something. Maybe I journal about it. Maybe I talk out loud about a particular thing. But I'm processing it. I'm just throwing out every single thought and idea and feeling I have about it to like work through it and grapple with it and toss it around and eventually come out on the other side. And to me, it feels like, because this person has said, I've tried everything. I don't know if you've tried like that deeper internal work, because this is something that's like a deeper mindset shift than it is like taking a bubble bath and not answering your work emails. And I do think those things are helpful. Like, I don't think you should be answering your work emails on the weekend. I don't think you should have your email notifications on. I don't think, I think we need to maybe be practicing those things as well. But those are Band-Aids, because there is something that is where, like, some kind of internal barrier and blockage that is keeping you from releasing this as your whole identity and being. And that's something that's going to take time to kind of dig at and reflect on. And that's even something that maybe you need to pull into supervision if you receive supervision, where you're challenged on how that also plays into your dynamics with your clients. If that it all shows up in a power dynamic and how that plays out. Stuff to mull over. But as I said, there's no Band-Aid to this. This is something that is like deeper work that I've been in social work for only like 4.5 years now. I graduated in May 2020 with my master's degree. I've been like in the world longer when you count undergrad and everything, but it takes time, and again, for me, it took me to get to a point of burnout to really have that hard conversation and be like, oh, I can't help everyone. I can't save people, nor should I want to save people. And that is okay. And wow, what do you know? I can have a beautiful and fulfilling life, and it doesn't have to be about social work. I can love my life, and I can love social work, and it can be varied. Life is also so much more fulfilling when it has variety. What a one-dimensional life to have social work just be it. I just find so much beauty in having more, more than one thing going on in my life. And so with that, I'm talking about like some deeper like self-reflection, challenging yourself, having hard discussions with yourself. And that ultimately is, I think, like a mindfulness practice where you are just like bringing into awareness these feelings and these thoughts and these beliefs attached to it. And without judgment, but with accountability, trying to work through and then like release some of those beliefs and shift them. That's my spiel on that one. Oh my goodness. That article is also linked below if you want to check that out. I just typed into Google news and social work and this website popped up. I love it. I don't know if they have a newsletter. If they do, I'm going to subscribe to it because I like to know what's going on in social work. It looks like you can contribute to this place as well. I have not looked into that. So I am not entirely sure how you would do that. But anyways, feel free to check them out. I like what they've got going on over there. Remember, Social Work Neighborhood, the mentoring program for social workers and social work students, is launching October 14th. We are having a block party from 8 to 10 Eastern Time on Google Meet. You can register on our website. You'll get the Google Meet link once you register. It's completely free. The whole program is free. You do not have to pay for mentorship. So please check it out. It's just a drop-in thing, so you can drop in at any time. It'll be me and Emma introducing ourselves in the program, playing some games, getting to know everyone, having some fun, listening to music. Bring a beverage of your choice. Ask us any questions. Applications for mentors and mentees will open midnight. Early, 12 a.m., October 14th, as soon as the day begins. So, to be on the lookout for that stuff. We hope to see you there. We hope that you come into the program if you want some support or you want to support others. We're going to be doing individual mentorship, monthly group mentorship meetings. We have a whole library of resources. We're hoping to get into like continuing education credits, that kind of stuff. So stay tuned, everyone. We're really excited about it, and we hope to see you there. If you like today's episode, like, share, follow, leave a comment. Follow me on Instagram. Like, DM me, comment on my Instagram, like, your thoughts about the podcast episode. And of course, if you ever want to be a guest on the podcast, I have the Google form below, so you can always reach out to me if you want to talk about something. Whatever. I'm here to chat all day long. All right, guys. Well, I will see you next week. Have a good one.